Hello everybody, I am Baltmatrix, and today we're taking a look at Shadow Striker from Transformers Legacy Evolutions. Shadow Striker comes with the figure and the figure's accessories. First of the accessories is this gun, which can be wielded in robot mode as a gun, and then the Evo Fusion comes into play with the gun's barrel, and then it can also be wielded as this weird sword thing. Evo Fusion works by plugging in the bumper. That's it. That's the Evo Fusion. That's really stupid. The figure is colored in black, purple, and silver, and then there's red on the chest, the crotch, and the face. Doesn't look like Shadow Striker at all. In fact, it kind of reminds me more of a bastardized Sideburn from RID. I mean, I get what they were going for. They got the actual, I guess, deco on the wheels correct. I mean, that's definitely Shadow Striker's deco. But the figure itself doesn't look right. It looks too dang chunky. I have a fix for that, though. Flip up the doors that are hanging off the backpack, and that works a little bit better. Does work a little bit better. You've got, like, the cinched waist of the feminine form, but it still looks really dumb. Head sculpt, however, is very nice. It is very much what I would consider Shadow Striker to look like. I love the purple, the silver face, and the red eyes, and you've got that cycloptic mono eye there on the left-hand side of the figure. It works well, and it's got a very Roman, even though I love the head sculpt, and overall the figure looks okay. I just can't shake the feeling that this mold was never meant to be Shadow Striker, but rather it's a pre-tool of a potential Sideburn that we're going to get later down the line, maybe in 2024. That means they might be dipping into RID, which I greatly appreciate. Now you might be wondering, well, where are you getting that idea, Bolt? Right there, it's the chest. That engine looks very reminiscent of Sideburn from RID. Also, the bumper, this being the rear bumper, is detachable, and so is the roof. And if you remember Sideburn's design, he's got the roof hanging off his left arm, and then the front bumper on his right shoulder. And he looks somewhat similar to that head sculpt. Well, the big one eye being bigger than the other, right? That's what I mean specifically. Now, you can store all of these components on Shadow Striker in robot mode a little bit cleaner than what we have here. So under the flap on her right side, you can peg in the gun, which is a little bit difficult to do given my ham hands. And that, if you angle it a little bit, will store on the backpack. Then the roof can actually peg into the back like that. And every time I try to pull the roof off of wherever it is, it snaps off. Plastic and the clear plastic, they're real slippery. And then I just keep the bumper on one of the forearms, and that cleans up the look a little bit. I just appreciate the fact that you can store everything on her robot mode. That is nice. She also has plenty of ports for plug and play. We've got giant heels that each have a 5mm port on the back. Then she's got a 5mm port on the bottom of each lower leg. She has a 5mm port in the middle of her back, one on each forearm, and then one right behind her head. And I always thought, maybe I could fit the bumper back there. And no, it doesn't work. The head gets in the way. Also, I was thinking, well, hold on here. I just moved the head forward, and no, that doesn't want to go into place. And then I was wondering, maybe I can peg the bumper into one of these pegs here, because in vehicle mode, these pegs are what peg the bumper in, but no, it doesn't work. I've tried multiple times. I've tried different peg holes that are on the bumper. Nothing holds. It doesn't work. In terms of scale, she is a little bit on the small side, especially for a Legends Deluxe class figure, but she scales perfectly with Black Arachnia and RC. Now we're going to get into the transformation for Shadow Striker, and I love this transformation, even if it is a little bit annoying in some spots. I think it's really cool. To start off with, take the arms and just give her a T-pose, like that. And then come to the back of the figure and grab the entire backpack and hinge it all the way up like that. Take the doors, flip them out, and then take the shoulders and backpack and turn them in like that. So then we've got the figure kind of doing the most ridiculous look ever. Come to the figure's chest and push the chest forward a little bit and then flip out these bits that are going to form the front of the vehicle mode, and hopefully that will cause this little flap to flip up. Doesn't always, and then you fold that up and snap it into place. And then just leave the front of the vehicle mode and the chest out like that. It'll make sense in a minute. Come down to the toes and take those toes and fold them up against the shins, then straighten the legs out and flip the legs all the way up and back. And there is a very tiny little tab right where my finger is, right there, that pegs on into the inner thigh. The first time I did this transformation, I didn't get that from the directions, and it ended up being really bad. So then once you get that pegged in, you can then push the foot up into the bottom of the, or the back bottom part of the car mode, and there's another little tab on the back that pegs into this little peg hole on the foot, or on the heel, I should say. So grab the other leg, flip it up, peg it into place at the thigh, and then peg it into place behind the rear wheels. And doesn't always go in. If it doesn't go in, that means you've got things misaligned. It should go in rather tightly. Now we come to the front of the vehicle mode, i.e. the crotch of the robot mode, and push the chest down and snap it into place. Like that, and then fold the thighs in, and they will snap all into place. And there we have the front of the vehicle mode. Now for the most annoying part of the transformation. See the arms. The arms have these little tab holes on the inside of the forearms. They are supposed to fold down and peg into these little tabs that are coming off the backs of the legs. So you can see both tabs, one there and one there. Problem is the holes, or the tab holes, are just a little bit too small for the tabs. So I'm going to have to sand them down at some point, or sand the tabs a little thinner, because that's really annoying. And even if you get them in place, the arms just won't stay down. They just will not stay down no matter what I do. Yeah, they just pop right off. Nothing I do keeps these arms in place. I don't know what else to do. Nothing I do keeps them all that pegged in all that well. Well, fine. Close the doors. And here we have a sled for somebody to surf on. No, that's not what we have here. So we can then come to the back of the vehicle mode and peg the bumper in place like that. And then we could just take the roof and peg it into either one of the forearms. Doesn't matter. So we'll do the right forearm for now, collapse the roof down, and it's supposed to peg into place, but because the arms keep popping up and down, it doesn't like to stay. It'll go down a little bit, but it just won't stay. Also, there is a little piece of clear red plastic that acts like it should peg in between the wheel wells. Doesn't always, because I end up having to pull the wheel wells or flex them out a little bit, but every time I do that, it pops off the other parts of the roof. Oh, and then you've just got this giant gap back here. There's nothing I can do to fix that. I've tried. I've seen other reviewers. That's just the way it is. And you see, every time I touch the dang car mode, it pops the roof off. Even though the roof doesn't like to stay on, I like this alt mode quite a bit. It's a very nice rendition of Shadow Striker, and it's the closest we've ever gotten, or at least it's close enough to her actual on-screen car mode, which we actually never saw that much of. She showed up every now and then, but not all that much. She was mostly in robot mode. And as you can see, the gun, the only place to store it is right on top there. That's it. I haven't been able to find any other place other than, okay, well, maybe I could put it on the back like that. There's no room under here to store the gun, like, at all. If you know of a place where to store the gun, let me know down in the comments, because nothing is showing up in the directions. She roughly scales to other deluxe class figures: Beachcomber, Scamper, Magnificus, and Scorpobutt. The one thing I will say about Shadow Striker is the figure is interesting. We've not had a figure like this in a while. Yes, we've had parts forming figures, specifically the weaponizers or the fossilizers. That makes sense, but there's not been like a mainline figure like this that requires this much parts forming. Like the weaponizers and the fossilizers, their whole gimmick is parts forming. So it makes sense that they would do that. Not Shadow Striker. Though that, I guess that might go to her character in the show, because she kind of got parts formed back to functionality by Shockwave. So, I mean, there is that. But otherwise, it's a fascinating figure that I actually do like a lot. It's just weird and oddly proportioned. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention specifically about the figure's knees. The knees actually click into place for the transformation, and I didn't do that well enough on the one knee. So when you pull her out of the transformation, or out of the box actually, you do have to snap her knees a bit to unlock them. Now, before we end the review, let's talk about posability. Head is on a ball joint, can look down that much, can look up a little bit, and obviously there's a swivel. The hinges and swivels in the shoulders are interesting because you've got the forward hinge for forward movement, and then you've got that side hinge for way up movement, and it's opposite to the way other figures are, but it still works just fine. Bicep swivel, bend at the elbows 90 degrees, and then wrist swivel. Torso swivel is present. Legs can kick forward and can kick back pretty far, but if you've got the flap down, the legs don't kick back that far. You've got to move the door, and can kick out plenty. There is a thigh swivel, and then there's also the swivel at the hip. Bend at the knee is 90 degrees, and then the ankle rocker is 90 degrees. And given the joints, she could pull off some neat poses. This is probably my favorite, with the little riot shield she's got going on. Unfortunately, every time I try to pose the dang shield, it pops off. Overall, I do like this figure quite a bit. I honestly do. It's just the mold feels weird, and it's obviously not Shadow Striker. As I said earlier, it feels like a pre-tool of an upcoming figure. And if you're worried about her roof breaking because, clear plastic, I wouldn't. The actual figure itself is pretty strong. The roof itself is nice and thick. The only place that I fear of breaking happening is right here where it's connecting to the little bit there. And you can actually see it's already starting to warp a little bit, which is concerning. I think Shadow Striker is neat. I do. Is it perfect? Hell no. But it's fun. It's got a neat transformation, and both modes work, except for some minor little problems here and there. Overall, is it worth picking up? Yeah, I think so. Have we had a Cyberverse figure yet in the Legacy line? I can't remember one. This might be the first, but it's a fun figure. And it's worth having in your collection. I'm really curious about what Hasbro's going to release this as going down the line in 2024. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video review. I have been Baltmatrix. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time.